This is a sentiment analysis app that I have created. So the login and registration has been done using the Firebase database. So let's see how the registration happens. So I've given all the details that are required for user registration, and upon pressing a registered user, I see a dialog box and a pop-up saying that I have been successfully registered. So this is my home page. So you see a welcome to the username, and I can give the text that I want using this mic button. Good. Yeah, so upon giving a speech of good, I see a text good, and now I can analyze the word text. There you go. It has a negativity of 39.72% and a positivity of 60%. Why don't we try some others? Car. Yeah, now let's analyze car. Oh, car has negativity of 57%. So upon pressing logout, I'll be redirected to login page. And if in case I'm a new user, upon pressing a sign up here, I go back to user registration page, and if I'm already registered, if I press the sign here, I go back to login page. So let's give the details with which I've created an account before. So this is the user ID and password with which I have registered. So now let's see what happens if I press a login button. Yes, so upon pressing the login button, I have gone to the home page. Upon pressing the logout button, I'm going back to user login page. Upon pressing sign up here, I go back to user registration page. Thank you. The code that I've used for developing this app. Okay, so if you see right now, I have three activities: home, login, and main, that you can see in my manifest file. So the main activity, the login, and the home activity. And I would be using the usage of internet here. So I've added a permission for internet, and for integrating Firebase to the Android, I have to add few dependencies to my app. So here you come, here you see my build Gradle of my app. So I've added the Firebase authentication in Firebase database, and also in my Firebase auth app, I have added the dependency of Google services. So these two dependencies has to be added for you in order to use the internet as well as the Firebase. So now let's see the front end of how each of my layout looks like. So basically I have a text field, user login. I have two buttons here, analyze and log out, and an image view for the mic. So diving into the code, I've used frame layout for my background. If you see the one in the blue color, so that I've taken from a wallpaper that I've saved in drawables, so the one here. And I've used relative layout for all the other views. So basically I have a text view called user login, another text view for storing my result, another text view for negative and positive, showing the negative and positive results out of my home activity, and a button to press to speak, a button to press to analyze, and a button for logout. Basically I have a logout button, there's a button to press to speak, there's a button to analyze. This is my home activity, and now let's see my register and login activity. So this is my how my register page looks like. So the name of my app, the user registration, the text field, edit text for the first name and last name, edit text for your email, for a password, and a button to register the user, and also a text asking if you're already registered, please sign in here. So basically here we have a linear layout. I added a text view for user registration, a frame layout where added my wallpaper, edit text of first name, last name, enter your email, enter your password, and a button for registering the user, and a text view for asking you if you're already a registered user or not. And similarly, login page. So in basically login, I have a text field for user login and edit text fields for your email and password, and a button for login, and another text view asking you if you don't have an account, please sign up. So let's go and see what's there in the backend logic in the main activity. So basically in the main activity, so I've created private fields for storing the first name, last name, email, password, and I've added one more progress bar to show what is the status, and a variable for storing your Firebase authentication. So when you create your app, you're creating an instance for Firebase, and if a user is already logged in, it'll let the user to go to the home activity by currently stopping this activity. And I have integrated the variables to the IDs in the front end, and I have initialized the button register and text view sign in, two buttons here, which enables you to register, and the one which you takes you to the login activity. So basically, let's see what are the two functions that we have here. So on click, what happens on clicking the button? So when you're clicking a button called register, a register user function will be calling, and if you click the text view sign in, we'll be moving to another activity called login activity. So what's there in button register? So we are storing the email, password, first name and last name, and we're looking if they were not empty, and if they were empty, we're asking the user to please enter it again. And here comes a dialog box saying that you're going to register it, and there's a function to Firebase authentication to create a username and email with a password, and if a task is successful, the activity will be done and user will be prompted to home activity, or else it'll be saying that you cannot register. Now let's go quickly to login activity. Similar to the login register activity, in login activity I stored the email, password, the sign up, the progress bar, and the authentication. And once the user is already been logged in, the user will be prompted to home activity, and I've integrated all the IDs of the front end to the values that I've stored here. And on click, what happens? So if you're clicking a button login, then the user login function is called, or else this activity is stopped and the user will be prompted to the main activity. So let's see what's that in login. So we are storing the email, password, and we are checking if they were not empty. In case of empty, we are putting a make toast saying that please enter your email and password, and we're showing a progress bar that user is logging in. And here is the function call to the Firebase database to sign in with your email and password. So on successful complete, this activity will be finished and the user will be prompted to the next activity, that is your home activity. Or else you'll be seeing a toast saying that sorry, could not log in. Okay, now let's see what's there in home activity. The main logic of my home activity is here. So here I have a few buttons for logging out from application, button to analyze the text, and text view for showing the welcome message to the user, and a Firebase authentication instance, a text views for storing your result and showing the positive and negativeness in your word. And upon creating, I've integrated all my variables with the associated values in the front end, and I've initiated two buttons on click saying the button logout and button analysis here. So let's see in on click what happens. So when you're clicking a button logout, a sign it functionality is being called of a Firebase auth, and this activity is being finished and user is prompted to login page back. So upon button analysis, you have been called to analysis text. And before that, in home activity, there one particular button I've directly given on click function. So let's see which is the one. Basically the one that I gave is for button speak. So if you press a button called button speak, the on click function named get speech input will be called. So let's see what's there in get input speech input. So in get speech input, initially I'm nullifying all the text of what is a positiveness and what is a negativeness, and the value is already present. Now a new intent being called to recognize your speech, and we are putting some extra data here, and if your intent is not null, you're starting the activity, we're storing the data. If not, it's saying that your device is not supported. So on activity result, what happens? On activity results, if your result is okay, that means you got the data. Then you have been storing the data from the speech that has been converted into text into a field called text result. Now what happens if I press a button called button analysis? So button analysis, yep, button analysis, it's been calling the function called analyze text. So let's see what is analyze text. So the source text, the string button here, is storing the result that is coming from your speech to text, and it is passing to this API as an input with a key, and a client authentication is being done here. And in case of exceptions, you see an error message, and in case of positive response, you see that all the positive values has been added to the text field called text positive, and negative has been added to the field called text negative. And if you press a button called logout, you have seen what happens. So that is all I have for today. Thank you.